Hello everyone, I am Kisha Halina and I'm going to discuss the 20th topic under the principle of literary criticism, the impasse of musical theory. So first, let us dig into what is the meaning of the word impasse. So it is a situation in which progress is impossible, especially because the people involved cannot agree. Music theory is a study of the process and possibilities of music. For fairly obvious reasons, the psychology of music is often regarded as more backward than that of the other arts, and the impasse which has here been reached more baffling and more exasperating. So, musical criticism is a branch of philosophical aesthetic concerned with making judgments about composition or performance or both. Unfortunately, it is difficult to show that a value judgment can stand for anything that is even remotely true about music, as opposed to standing for something that is merely a personal whim on the part of the critic, since there is no such thing as an organized body of knowledge called musical criticism. The entire history of musical criticism can be summed up as a struggle to forge itself into a suitable tool for coming to grips with the art of music. So for poetry, for painting, for architecture, there still remain problems as perplexing as any which can be raised about music. So for example, what is the difference between good and bad blank verse in its formal aspect, between delightful and distressing alliteration, between euphony and cacophony, between metrical triumph and metrical failure, or in the case of painting, so why do certain forms excite such marked responses of emotion and attitude, and others, so very like them, geometrically excite none or produce merely confusion? So why have colors their specific responses, and how it is that their combinations have such subtle and yet definite effects? Or what is the reason that spaces and volumes in architecture affect us they do? These questions are at present as much without answers as any that we can raise about music. Other effects are of course also involved in program music, something analogous to representation in painting, in opera, and much other music, dramatic action, and so forth. So the difficulties which they raise have such close analogies in painting and poetry that a separate discussion may be omitted. So the problem of pure form arises, however, with peculiar insistence in music. Musical effects, like the effects of forms in general, are inexplicable in the second sense only. Every element in a form, whether it may be musical form or any other, is capable of exciting a very intricate and widespread response. Usually, the response is of a minimal order and escapes introspection. So thus, a single note or a uniform color has the most people hardly any observable effect beyond its sensory characteristics. So when it occurs along with other elements, the form which they together make up may have striking consequences in emotion and attitude. Any musical sound, for example, is plainly complex, though how complex it is from the point of view of its musical effects is still very uncertain. So it has pitch, it has timbre, the characteristics which change as it is played upon one kind of instrument or another, the characteristics which are sometimes called its color. Its effects also vary with its loudness and with its volume. It may be far more complex still. Its relation again to other musical sounds may be of at least three kinds: pitch relations, relations, and temporal relations, complicated, all of them in the utmost degree by rhythm. Possibly other relations still are involved. The one point of importance for our present purpose is the immense scope for the resolution, interanimation, conflict, and equilibrium of impulses opened up by this extraordinary complexity of musical sounds and of their possible arrangement. So we need equally to be on our guard against those who would attribute peculiar, unique, and mystic virtues to forms in themselves. In every case, their effect is due to their interplay of file effects which their elements excite. So the totality musical nature of musical experience raises a difficulty for the critic. Music is not like a foreign language that requires an expert to translate it for a lay audience. It is a universal tongue. It either speaks to each listener directly or it does not speak to him at all. If